For an entire generation of Indian cricket fans, this is the greatest cricketing memory you have.
ODI finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup.
It would have been replicated in 2023 if not for a certain guy with a mustache deciding to spoil the party. Yeah, this guy. Anyways, what if I tell you that a 2011 World Cup victory might not have been possible without a 50? A 50 is so important to this once in a lifetime memory, but almost nobody remembers it. You might have a few guesses: Dhoni's innings in the final, Gambhir's innings in the final, Sachin's innings in the semi-final, Yuvraj's innings against the mighty Australians in the quarter-final. Wrong. All of these were absolutely integral to India's triumph, but the innings that I'm talking about wasn't even scored in the World Cup itself. It came before it. Hello guys, you're watching Cricket Lore, where we uncover the forgotten moments of the game we all love. So let's get into it. Chapter 1. A Place in Doubt. If I ask you who were the 3 MVPs of India's 2011 World Cup winning campaign, I'm pretty sure one name would be the most common: Yuvraj Singh. He won the Player of the Tournament award for once-in-a-lifetime performance that helped India lift the trophy they had waited 28 years for. Let's look at these numbers. Playing through 9 matches, he scored 362 runs at an average of 90 and took 15 wickets at an average of 25. Yuvraj turned up on the biggest stage of his career and absolutely owned it. But would you believe me if I told you that his place in the squad wasn't even guaranteed? You might be thinking, what is this guy even talking about? Fair enough. Well, if you still don't believe me, there are some quotes from Gary Custon, India's head coach at the time. Thank goodness we picked him, because it was flipping close. It was not a slam dunk selection. The selectors kind of debated around the 15 players. Yes, you heard that right. Yuvraj Singh, the player who won the Player of the Tournament, came incredibly close to missing out on the World Cup squad. Just a year before the World Cup, he was even dropped from the Asia Cup squad due to his poor form. And honestly, at that time, it wouldn't even have been that controversial. These were his numbers from 2010. They didn't exactly inspire confidence. It's not outrageous to say that UV stock had fallen. In fact, it had fallen so much that he wasn't even included in the World Cup promotional campaign by Pepsi. They chose MS Dhoni, Harbhajan Singh, Virender Sehwag, Suresh Raina, and a young Virat Kohli, an upcoming superstar, over Yuvraj, who was already a superstar at the time. On a side note, this promotional campaign by Pepsi was one for the ages. If you're a late 90s kid like me, you definitely remember these ads. Chapter 2. The most important half century. 15 January 2011, right before the World Cup, India traveled to South Africa for an ODI series. India were playing the second ODI in Johannesburg, but this wasn't just another bilateral game. India's World Cup squad was going to be announced just 2 days later on the 17th of January. Everyone was trying to make the strongest case for that squad, and Yuvraj's place was far from certain. As a UV fan, I badly wanted him to score that day and lock in his place, and thankfully he did. He came to bat at number 4 and scored 53 runs off 68 balls. Not a memorable inning, not an iconic inning, just a solid knock in a low-scoring game. India only managed 190 and somehow defended it in a dramatic fashion. South Africa were 152 for 5 at one point and needed just 39 runs in 107 balls. But they completely bottled it. It was a nail-biting finish. India won by just 1 run. And looking back now, that half century feels way bigger than the scorecard suggests, because I genuinely believe that if Yuvraj hadn't scored that 50, he might have lost his place in the squad. Like Gary Custon suggested, that Yu's place was not so locked, and just 2 days before the squad announcement, that innings may have just done enough to secure his ticket to the World Cup. Chapter 3. A performance of a lifetime. As I said earlier, Yuvraj's stock before the World Cup was down. Nobody expected him to have the kind of a tournament he eventually had. He even lost his number 4 spot to a young Virat Kohli and had to bat at number 5. In the league stage, he scored a crucial 50 against England. That game ended in a tie, but he got some runs under his belt, and from that moment on, he never looked back. Versus Ireland, he took a 5-er and finished the run chase with a 50. Versus Netherlands, he again scored a half century and took 2 wickets. Versus West Indies, he scored a century and took 2 wickets. Honestly, who could forget that century in Chennai's blistering heat? He was struggling to breathe and constantly coughing. At that time, he still didn't realize how serious his situation was, but he kept pushing through it anyway. Man, what a warrior. For the people who don't know, Yuvraj was diagnosed with cancer a few months after the World Cup. Earlier, it was reported that he had a tumor, but after some time, the news about cancer came out. And if you see the highlights of this game, you can see the early signs. In the quarterfinals, India were up against the mighty Australians, the winners of the last 3 World Cups. Before their defeat to Pakistan in the group stage, they were on a 34-match unbeaten streak in World Cups that had spanned across 3 different editions. Let that sink in for a second. As a fan, I was genuinely nervous before this game. We took 2 crucial wickets in the first inning, but Australia managed to score 260 runs. Australians are known to turn up when it matters the most, and if you give them an inch, they'll make you pay for it. And sure enough, India did give them an opening. Chasing 260, India were under pressure at 187 for 5. Australia could smell blood once again, and it genuinely felt like they were about to crush India's World Cup dreams all over again. Someone had to step up and put the Giants down, and who other than the man himself? UB along with Suresh Raina dragged India back into the game with a match-winning partnership that shifted everything back in India's favour. Shout out to Suresh Raina as well. It feels like that innings of his has slowly been forgotten by fans over the years. Next, to the semi-finals. Probably the biggest game of the tournament, India versus Pakistan at Mohali. The stage couldn't have been bigger. We couldn't contribute much with the bat that day, but he still picked up 2 crucial wickets that helped India shut down the chase. Into the finals, UV delivered again with the ball, picking up 2 massive wickets of Sangakkara and Samaraweera. Throughout the tournament, whenever Dhoni needed someone to break a dangerous partnership, he had 2 trump cards, Zaheer Khan and Yuvraj Singh, and more often than not, they delivered. As for the batting, by the time UV walked in, the game was almost done, but he still stayed there till the very end to finish the job. And when Dhoni hit that iconic 6, the architect of India's World Cup winning campaign was standing right there at non-striker's end, witnessing what was probably the greatest moment of his cricketing career. It's safe to say by looking at his stats that he caused absolute mayhem throughout the tournament. After lifting the World Cup, these were his words about his struggle prior to the World Cup. It was a tough time for me. I think that was the toughest period for me in the last 10 years. There was a time when I asked myself, do I want to continue? Seriously, I thought, do I want to play anymore or not? There was a lot of negativity around me. So just imagine this for a second. If Yuvraj hadn't scored that 50 in a random bilateral ODI, India might never have gotten this version of Yuvraj Singh at the 2011 World Cup. And if that happened, maybe this moment never happens either.
ODI finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd.
Thank God he scored that 50. Honestly, thank God he did.